One holds your hand because they are afraid to lose you, the other holds your soul and says, even if you leave, I want you happy. That is where love and attachment part ways. Once upon a time, there were two hearts walking side by side, mistaking attachment for love because both felt intense, both felt deep, and both made the heart beat faster. At first, attachment looked romantic. It wanted every message replied to, every moment accounted for, every smile explained. It said, I can't live without you, and that sounded like devotion. But slowly, the air grew heavy. Love, on the other hand, arrived quietly. It did not demand proof. It did not ask for permission to breathe. It simply stayed. Love says, fly, and I will watch you soar. Attachment says, stay, because I am afraid of being alone. In a love story, love is the character who opens the door, while attachment locks it from inside. Love trusts the heart it has chosen. Attachment checks phones, questions friendships, and fears silence. Love rests peacefully even when miles apart. Attachment panics the moment distance appears. Love wants growth. It celebrates change, maturity, dreams, and evolution. When one heart becomes stronger, love becomes proud. Attachment feels threatened by growth, because it fears being left behind. Love says, become more. Attachment whispers, don't change. Love understands that two whole people can walk together without losing themselves. Attachment tries to merge identities until no one remembers who they were before. Love is a choice made every day, not a chain worn out of fear. Love stays because it wants to, not because it has to. Attachment stays because it is terrified of loss. Love can let go without hatred. Attachment holds on even when it hurts. Love brings calm, warmth, and safety. Attachment brings overthinking, insecurity, and emotional exhaustion. In a true love story, love feels like coming home. There is peace in the presence, silence without fear, and trust without proof. Attachment feels like standing on shaky ground, always afraid the floor will disappear. Love says, I am complete, and I choose you. Attachment says, I am incomplete without you. So when you ask your heart whether it is love or attachment, listen carefully. Love will feel light, open, and free. Attachment will feel tight, anxious, and heavy. Love heals. Attachment wounds. Love builds. Attachment consumes. And the most beautiful love stories are not written with fear, but with freedom, trust, and the courage to love without chains. In every love story, there comes a moment when one heart asks another not with words but with behavior, are you mine, or are you afraid to lose me? Love answers this question gently. Love never tries to cage what it cherishes. It opens its palms and says, go, explore, grow, and return if you wish. Love understands that a heart cannot bloom in captivity. It knows that freedom is not distance, but trust breathing comfortably between two souls. Attachment, however, wears the mask of care. It calls possession protection and control concern. It wants constant reassurance, endless attention, and exclusive ownership of time, thoughts, and emotions. Attachment says, you belong to me, not as a promise, but as a claim. In a love story shaped by attachment, every laugh shared elsewhere feels like betrayal, every independent step feels like abandonment, and every moment of silence feels like loss. Love does not fear space. It believes that distance cannot weaken something real. Love allows friendships, passions, dreams, and individuality to exist without suspicion. When one heart grows wings, love becomes the wind beneath them. Attachment fears wings because wings mean the possibility of leaving. So it clips them slowly, with questions, guilt, and emotional pressure, until freedom feels like disloyalty. Love says, I want you, but I do not own you. Attachment says, I need you, and without you I am nothing. Love is rooted in wholeness. Two complete people choosing to walk together. Attachment is rooted in emptiness, trying to fill a void by holding another too tightly. Love trusts without surveillance. Attachment watches constantly, mistaking vigilance for devotion. In a true love story, freedom deepens intimacy. When hearts are free, they return by choice, not obligation. Love does not demand proof of loyalty every day. It feels secure even in uncertainty. Attachment counts messages, measures time, and equates control with closeness. Love believes that what is meant to stay cannot be forced. Freedom in love does not mean neglect. It means respect. It means allowing someone to be themselves without fear of punishment for independence. Love gives space to breathe, to fail, to learn, to change. Attachment suffocates growth because it fears the unknown version of the person it claims to love. When love holds your hand, you feel lighter, stronger, more yourself. When attachment holds your hand, you feel tense, careful, afraid to loosen the grip, afraid that letting go for even a moment might mean losing everything you thought was yours. Every love story is built on a quiet foundation that cannot be seen but can always be felt. Love begins where trust lives. It does not rush, accuse, or doubt without reason. Love believes in the heart it has chosen, even when proof is absent. It understands that trust is not blind faith, but a calm confidence that says, I believe in who you are, even when you are not standing in front of me. Attachment is born from fear. Fear of being replaced, fear of being forgotten, fear of not being enough. In an attached relationship, love is constantly questioned. Silence becomes suspicious, distance becomes dangerous, and independence becomes a threat. Attachment needs frequent reassurance because it does not trust the bond, nor itself. It asks again and again, do you still love me? Not out of romance, but out of insecurity. Love does not interrogate, it listens. It does not assume the worst. It gives the benefit of doubt because trust creates emotional safety. In a love story shaped by trust, two hearts can exist apart without anxiety. They know that absence does not equal betrayal. Love understands that loyalty is a choice, not a surveillance system. Attachment confuses fear with passion. The racing heart, the constant worry, the emotional highs and lows feel intense, so they are mistaken for deep love. But fear-driven attachment keeps the mind restless. It replays conversations, searches for hidden meanings, and creates stories where none exist. Love calms the mind. Attachment exhausts it. Love trusts growth. It trusts change. It trusts that even if the other heart evolves, the connection can evolve too. Attachment fears change because change threatens its fragile sense of security. Love says, I trust you to choose me freely. Attachment says, I fear you will leave if I stop holding on. In love, trust becomes a bridge between two hearts. They meet in honesty, transparency, and emotional safety. Love does not need constant checking because trust removes the urge to control. Attachment relies on control because fear cannot rest. A love story rooted in trust feels steady, warm, and grounding. There is peace in knowing you are chosen, not watched. Attachment keeps the heart alert, guarded, and tense, always waiting for something to go wrong. Love allows vulnerability because trust protects it. Attachment avoids vulnerability, hiding behind doubt and fear, believing that mistrust is a form of self-defense. Where trust lives, love deepens. Naturally, where fear lives, attachment tightens its grip, mistaking anxiety for intimacy, and insecurity for care. Every meaningful love story includes transformation. Two people meet as they are, but they do not remain the same. Love understands this truth and welcomes it with open arms. Love knows that growth is not a threat but a promise. When one heart learns, heals, or evolves, love celebrates the becoming, not fearing the distance that change might bring. Attachment is uncomfortable with change. It falls in love with a version of a person and tries to preserve that version forever. When dreams shift, habits change, or confidence grows, attachment feels unsafe. It whispers doubts, creates resistance, and reminds the other of who they used to be, as if change is betrayal. Attachment wants familiarity, not evolution, because growth challenges its sense of control. Love says, become more than you were yesterday. Attachment says, don't outgrow me. In love, ambitions are supported, not questioned. Love stands beside new dreams, even when they lead in unfamiliar directions. It understands that two growing individuals can still walk together, sometimes at different speeds, sometimes on different paths, but always with mutual respect. Attachment fears being left behind. So it subtly pulls the other back, discouraging risks and minimizing aspirations. It may call this realism, but beneath it lies fear. Love encourages courage. It provides emotional safety so growth feels possible. In a love story guided by love, success is shared joy, not a source of insecurity. Love allows mistakes as part of growth. It understands that learning includes falling, failing, and trying again. Attachment demands consistency, because unpredictability feels dangerous. Love embraces the unknown. Attachment clings to the known. Love believes that change can strengthen a bond. Attachment believes change weakens it. When one heart heals old wounds, love becomes gentler and more patient. Attachment resents healing because pain once created dependence. Love wants two whole people choosing each other. Attachment prefers two broken people needing each other. Love does not compete with growth. It grows alongside it. In a true love story, growth deepens intimacy. As individuals evolve, they bring new wisdom, maturity, and understanding into the relationship. Love adapts, adjusts, and expands. Attachment remains rigid, uncomfortable with new versions of the same person. Love does not fear being outgrown, because it is confident in its place. Attachment constantly fears replacement. Love trusts that if two hearts are meant to walk together, growth will not separate them. Attachment believes that staying the same is the only way to stay connected. Where love exists, growth feels safe, encouraged, and shared. Where attachment exists, growth feels dangerous, lonely, and resisted, turning change into conflict instead of connection. Every love story is not sustained by grand promises but by quiet, repeated choices. Love understands that commitment is not a one-time declaration but a daily decision. Each morning, love wakes up and says, "I choose you again," not because it must, but because it wants to. Love stays present, intentional, and aware, knowing that real connection requires effort, attention, and conscious care. Attachment does not choose, it clings. It holds on out of fear rather than intention. Attachment stays because letting go feels terrifying, not because staying feels right. It confuses habit with loyalty and dependency with devotion. In an attached relationship, togetherness is not renewed daily, it is assumed, expected, and demanded. Love allows the freedom to choose, even to walk away. That freedom is what makes love meaningful. When someone stays by choice, their presence becomes powerful. Attachment removes choice by creating guilt, obligation, and emotional pressure. It says, "After all I've done, you can't leave," turning love into debt rather than desire. In love, effort flows naturally. Small gestures matter because they are voluntary. A message, a touch, a moment of listening carries weight because it is given freely. Attachment keeps score. It counts sacrifices, tracks favors, and uses effort as leverage. Love gives without expecting repayment. Attachment gives to secure control. Love understands that choosing someone daily also means choosing honesty, patience, and growth. It recognizes that some days are harder than others, yet it chooses kindness over withdrawal. Attachment panics during difficult moments. It tightens its grip, fearing that conflict means loss. Love sees conflict as an opportunity to understand deeper. In a love story shaped by love, both hearts remain because they want to be there. They are not trapped by fear or obligation. Love respects boundaries and accepts that choosing each other does not erase individuality. Attachment demands constant proximity, mistaking closeness for connection. Love is steady in its choosing. It does not threaten to leave to gain attention, nor does it beg someone to stay. Attachment swings between desperation and control, fearing abandonment while trying to prevent it through emotional pressure. When love chooses, it feels calm and confident. When attachment clings, it feels urgent and anxious. Love trusts that what is meant to stay will stay without force. Attachment believes that holding tighter will prevent loss. A relationship built on daily choice feels alive, renewed, and meaningful. A relationship built on clinging feels heavy, repetitive, and exhausting, where staying becomes a reaction to fear rather than an expression of love. Every love story carries an emotional climate that reveals its truth. Love feels like calm water after a long journey. It does not eliminate storms, but it offers a safe place within them. Love creates peace in the heart, a quiet assurance that says, "I am safe here." Even in uncertainty, love does not disturb the soul. It allows rest. Attachment feels like constant movement, even in stillness. The mind never settles. Thoughts race, emotions fluctuate, and the heart stays alert, waiting for reassurance. Attachment mistakes intensity for connection. The emotional highs feel euphoric, the lows devastating. This cycle creates anxiety, not intimacy. Love does not live in extremes. It lives in balance. In love, silence is comfortable. Two hearts can sit together without filling every moment with words. Love understands that presence does not require performance. Attachment fears silence. It fills gaps with questions, assumptions, and worry. When messages are delayed or emotions are not immediately expressed, attachment imagines loss. Love brings emotional safety. You can be honest without fear of punishment. You can be vulnerable without anxiety of rejection. Love listens without defensiveness. Attachment reacts quickly, interpreting vulnerability as weakness or threat. Love calms the nervous system. Attachment activates it. Peace in love comes from trust and acceptance. Love does not need constant validation. It knows its place. Attachment seeks reassurance repeatedly because it never feels secure. Love rests. Attachment worries. Love allows the heart to slow down. Attachment keeps it racing. In a love story grounded in love, emotions flow freely without overwhelming the bond. Sadness is met with support, joy with shared celebration. Love does not amplify pain unnecessarily. Attachment magnifies emotions, turning small misunderstandings into large conflicts driven by fear. Love feels like exhaling after holding your breath. Attachment feels like never being able to breathe fully. Love brings clarity. Attachment creates confusion. Love steadies emotions. Attachment destabilizes them. When love is present, the heart feels anchored. There is confidence in the connection, even during challenges. Attachment feels like standing on shifting ground, constantly adjusting to avoid falling. Love reassures without words. Attachment demands reassurance through constant proof. Peace is not boring. Peace is powerful. It allows love to deepen without chaos. Attachment relies on emotional turbulence to feel alive, confusing anxiety with passion. Where love lives, the heart feels settled, open, and safe. Where attachment lives, the heart feels restless, guarded, and tense, always seeking comfort but never truly finding it.